This is the Personnel Committee meeting. Joe, are we recording?
Yes, we're recording.
All right.
Have the warning.
All right. So we'll start with a roll call. Alder Dorf,
Here.
Alder Corpus Dax,
The last time I'm here.
Alder Johnson.
Here.
All right. And everyone's here and accounted for. I'll entertain a motion on the agenda.
Move to approve. Let Alder Corpus Dax have that, please.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Entertain a motion on the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. And that passes unanimously. On to regular business. 1A, consideration with possible action on the request to fill the following replacement positions and all subsequent vacancies resulting from internal transfers. Does anyone have any questions for staff on A, administrative clerk, public works?
No.
No? All right. I'll entertain a motion on that.
Move to approve administrative clerk. Public Works.
Second.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That passes unanimously. Item B, sewer maintenance worker out of Public Works. Any questions for staff? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve. Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, that passes unanimously. Item C, park maintenance worker out of the Park Recreation and Forestry. Any questions for staff? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. Item 2, request to reclassify one Public Works parking enforcement officer position to an account clerk 2 position and approval to fill the position and all subsequent vacancies. Does anyone have any question for staff? I do. And I don't know who this is directed to, but I'm kind of shocked that we've had this position open since 2020 and that we have almost $2 million in money owed to us that hasn't been getting collected because we haven't had the staff to do it. And I'm just kind of surprised it took this long to get to this point where we're finally getting the staff we need to do it. I'm just wondering if there's a reason or an explanation why.
Absolutely. I'll take the first stab at it and then Chris can fill in to supplement or correct me if I misstate anything. As you are probably aware, Parking Division is a special revenue fund, and that means that all expenses within the Parking Division have to be satisfied by the revenues that are brought in from Parking Division. So we have absolutely zero reliance on the general levy. We are self-supporting. When the pandemic hit, parking rates in downtown Green Bay dropped off precipitously, meaning our revenue stream was cut. We knew that we needed to do something to help get these staffing positions filled, but because we operated the entirety of 2020 at a loss, we had to dip into our capital reserve fund and drain, essentially through 20 and 21, we drained our cap reserve fund, so we have no rainy day fund left. We use that simply to keep Parking Division afloat for those 2 years. Toward the end of 21, we finally got back into a cash positive position where we were starting to take in enough revenues on a monthly and an annual basis to exceed slightly what our expenses are for the year. So we could not add a staff member because we were operating at a loss. We were actually dipping into our reserve funds. Now that we're actually meeting our expense obligations with the revenue coming in, we feel comfortable coming in to ask for the staff member that we need.
Right. What would have happened if this had gone on for another year? How would parking utility have operated?
Honest answer?
Yes.
I would have come to the council and asked for the Parking Division to be placed back on the tax levy.
Okay.
Let me go back a little history for everybody. I've served as parking manager for, I'm in my 32nd or 33rd year now. When I started with the city, finance department had no collections section. As I understand it, I believe finance department still has no collections section. Parking division has never had a collections section. When citations go unpaid, we have the privilege, if you will, through state law to send that information to the state through the DMV and cut off their ability to re-register a car under their name. However, I think some of you already know that people know how to play those games and work around that, so they don't care. So what we decided is, we're going to try, after all my years here, plus however many years before that, we're going to try to do elections because finance doesn't have the ability to do it. And there's a lot of money out there. This money, this is not the first year this money's, it's been like this since I've been here. It's been a long time with a lot of collections out there, and it's time to get our money's worth, if you will, if we're self-revenue generating. And we need the help in the office to begin with, regardless of collections. Also, parking division, in addition to what Steve has mentioned, we've been being very as frugal, even more frugal than as frugal as we can, which is great. I mean, we don't want to spend any more money than we have to. I don't think anyone really does. I hope. But our 2021, we ended the year at about 82% of the revenue stream that we had in 2019 before the pandemic hit us. And that 82%, that includes rate increases through the end of 19 and through 20 and 21. So parking is still way down on revenue. It's just time we got to get our money. That's the reason why we're finally kicking in here.
All right. And I understand that. My first job when I was a police cadet was to go out and serve parking ticket summons to people that had not paid their parking tickets because there was no way of suspending their registration at that time. What is, and I may be wrong, but I think municipal court actually hires a company to go out and do collections for them. I'm not sure, but I thought that was what they were doing at one point to try and get some of that revenue in. I mean, has parking utility or DPW looked at some different ways other than, how do you plan on going about collecting this money?
This staff person in the office is not someone who's going to put on their shoes and go out to stomp in the ground to collect. It's if we do any kind of collection, it's going to have to be through a collections agency that's certified and has the experience in that. We also need help in the office because we're so far behind in just invoicing and monthly invoicing stuff, that type of stuff that we got to keep the revenue flowing, and we don't have the people to do the day-to-day stuff.
Well, and that's what I read, and I understand the explanation makes sense when you understand how utility is set up, that it's separate and has like Bay Beach has to run on its own, basically, I think. So, all right, that's all I have. Thank you.
Move to approve. Move to approve. Anybody want a second?
Okay, I'm going to take that silence.
Second.
There we go. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That passes unanimously. On the informational, does anyone have any questions for staff about the routine personnel actions for regular employees? I just want to say congratulations, and Kelly, Howard is retiring from the police department. I think she was there before I even started, and she always did a hell of a job, so I hope she enjoys her retirement. Other than that, I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Should we go right on? Yeah, I think we should go right over. You guys okay with that? Like get on within 2 minutes, 3 minutes? All right. See ya.